Well, you already clicked on the video. You might as well answer the question. You ever notice how outrage in this country seems to come with a volume knob, but someone else controls it? This makes absolutely no sense. I mean, ridiculous. Holy crap. Total anarchy. As Antifa rioters go haywire, outside the Milan, Italy Winter Olympics, attacking police for hours. Antifa is a terrorist organization worldwide. For sure. I mean, just look at that. Fireworks being launched like weapons, smoke bombs, police deploying tear gas, I see. Streets basically turning into battlegrounds. But this is intentional. Yeah, this gives organized energy, don't it? I could be wrong. You let me know. And what you're seeing here is something important. Activism isn't always about solving problems. It's about spectacle. It's about, adrenaline, identity. Because when chaos becomes culture, escalation becomes currency. But here's the pivot. That same energy, that same moral urgency is strangled quiet when the story doesn't fit the script. So let's keep moving.
Well, it's almost 8 o'clock at night. This is my bedroom. The news called me today. But after I talked to them, because I put them on the email to the councilman's office, and I talked to a sergeant last night. They did have them take down their teepee, which they did not do. A lieutenant called me today, and they had to take it down, which involved a few arrests. But the teepee with profanity in 1-foot-high letters is gone. But they have now bivouacked another one. Looks like an easy up with walls. Don't know. So this is just more for our police department to deal with, which is unfortunate. They are very kind. They are limited to what the city will let them do, I'm sure. And this has been profanity on those bullhorns since probably about 4:30. It is insane. And I did write back, and I'm like, if I'm going to complain, I can give credit where credit's due. Thank you for getting rid of that. But now look. And all you people that say, hey, move, put in earplugs, blah, blah, blah. I have to be up by 4:30 tomorrow morning. It is almost 8 o'clock. Sleeping with my windows open to be comfortable, that ain't going to be a fucking thing today. See? The vile, the venom. And he has no fucking skin in the game. I will bet dollars to donuts these are paid protesters. They don't give a shit. When this runs out, they'll go to the next cause where somebody will pay them for their soul. Trash. Solid trash. That is the dregs of humanity right there.
Yeah, bring it home. Regular working Americans, not politicians, not influencers, just people trying to go to sleep, go to work, and raise their families. Stuck listening to nonstop megaphones and profanity outside of their windows of anti-ICE chants. I can't even talk. Here's where it cuts through ideology. Policy debates are abstract until they land on your doorstep. until they disrupt your job, your sleep, your peace. Because the loudest voices online rarely live next to the consequences. But the pattern is forming now. Celebrated chaos, disruption is being normalized, and outrage selectively being deployed, which brings us somewhere else that's pretty revealing.
Here's what's happening. An Antifa defendant was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Inside the courtroom, supporters applauded, calling it bravery. The moment is now spreading online.
If you ask me, he ain't looking real brave. He looking real FAFO. I mean, you watched that moment with me, right? Got the applause in the courtroom, applause after violence, by the way, after the conviction, after the sentencing. Accountability isn't being rejected here. Sometimes it's reframed. Sometimes it's aestheticized, or how you said it, aestheticized. Yeah. Sometimes it's turned into performance art. But movements built on emotional momentum rarely maintain loyalty when headlines fade, because outrage cycles, they move fast, faster than memory, faster than consistency. And that brings us to the next question that started the whole video, actually. Not even the next question, the main question, rather, that started the whole video, where this outrage actually goes. Let's go there.
So this U.S. citizen was wrongfully detained by ICE for over 3.5 years, but not many people have heard about it because it happened under the Obama administration. Now you might say, well, that's just one mistake, and ICE is making a lot more mistakes today. Haven't you seen the news? And to that I would say, let's just look at the data. Here's a quality report for ICE, starting with the final 2 years of the Obama administration, where this data first became available. Comes from ICE and DHS records, by the way. Only a 0.0225% error rate, meaning out of nearly 240,000 arrests, only 54 U.S. citizens were mistakenly detained. And a pretty clean report, given how messy this job is. You have to give the progressive president some props here. Let's compare it, though, against Trump. And for the year of 2025, where ICE has received so much scrutiny and the left has created so much chaos, his quality report's actually cleaner. It's better. A 0.0067% error rate, meaning Obama's error rate was actually more than three times higher. When we're confronted with data like this, it should make us question the narrative. Could we be in a propaganda war? Much like with COVID, much like with BLM in 2020, where the prevailing narrative was that cops were going around unaliving people based on the color of their skin. Could we be in a propaganda war? By the way, Josh Howerton has done some great work exposing some of the viral ICE abuse examples and debunking them. None of this means that ICE can do no wrong, or that we shouldn't try to keep improving our approach and minimizing mistakes as much as we can, or that we should ever blindly support any administration. But the more you look objectively, the more you realize that the left's narrative is actually manipulating good-hearted people into supporting their agenda. And that agenda is ultimately an anti-enforcement, open borders agenda that sounds loving, but actually destroys nations and harms millions of people. A great way to love your neighbor is to not fall for it.
Amen to that. Now this is where the temperature in the room, should change. A U.S. citizen detained for over, 1,200 days, deported, wrongfully processed, they say? Years lost? I want you to ask yourself something honestly. No politics, just consistency, okay? Y'all with me? Where were the street occupations? Where were the global chants? Where were the megaphones? What the hell was the viral moral emergencies? Because if outrage is principled, it's consistent. But if outrage is strategic, it's going to be selective. And once you start seeing that difference, you cannot unsee it. Now, I want you to watch how narratives pivot when enforcement becomes the topic again.
I want to be clear with you about why decent, hardworking Americans support deportations. Not because they hate the people outside of this country, because they love the people inside of it. They love fairness. They love order. They love the idea that rules mean something. They love the immigrants who did it the right way, who spent years filling out paperwork, paying fees, studying for citizenship tests, waiting their turn. People who respected this country enough to knock on the front door instead of kicking it in. People who often love this nation as much, if not more, than those of us lucky enough to be born here and sometimes take it for granted. But when you allow millions to cut the line with zero consequences, you're not showing compassion. You're literally spitting in the face of every legal immigrant who followed the rules. That's not kindness, it's betrayal. And this is the core truth of what gets buried in the shouting. It isn't about race. It's about fairness. It's about sovereignty and the destruction of the American dream for both the American worker and the immigrant.
Now, here's the framing argument, direct and blunt. Law, borders, enforcement, resources. These aren't emotional slogans. They're structural realities. And whether people agree or disagree with policy, one thing becomes very obvious. This isn't a simple compassion versus cruelty conversation. It's logistics. It's sustainability. It's sovereignty, as she said. It's fairness to those following the system. But now, after chaos, disruption, selective outrage, and policy framing, we end with perspective.
Because of the spray paint. That's the only reason why they're here. But what did Bass and Newsom say? Oh, they're stoking the fires. Have you seen these National Guards anywhere else?
Look,
no, hold on. Oh, no, shut up. Did you see them anywhere else? Before you go, did you see them anywhere else?
Some people would say that they were brought here because it's part of a plot to declare martial law.
Oh, really?
Because when you make it look scary, for the people in the middle of the country, then they are against all of this peaceful protest. They're against peaceful protest. Military force against civilians.
Okay, they're against peaceful protest, but yet they haven't moved from that spot since they've been here. But you guys out here
in 12 hours, in 2 days, in 3 days.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Okay. It's a threat to the people.
The car's burning.
The threat to the people.
Explain why
I'm not going to say that the car's burning was a good thing.
She's trying to tell me that everything that's going on is basically for a good reason. Like she just got done saying, like they were brought in to put fear into the public, but yet they never left that spot. They were only there because of right here. They've been right there this whole entire time. They haven't bothered a single person. And yet all these people are mad at their job.
What makes you support President Trump?
I like somebody who can just speak their mind. I've liked him since the first term because he says what he's going to do. When he says what he's going to do, he does it. It may not last long, but it still get done. When they said you won't build a wall, he was building the wall. When he says you couldn't ban Muslims, he banned Muslims, at least for like about 6 months, I think it was. So any president that makes the government pissy, I'm all for. Now, everybody was like that in the government, we wouldn't have a problem like this. But there's only a few people in the government that actually have some kind of dignity. When it was all said and done, with Trump in office, people can afford to live. With Trump out of office, everyone is screwed.
You're talking a lot about black folks coming together, whites and Hispanic, but what about everyone coming together?
No, because everybody...
But you like Trump. He's a white guy.
No. One thing I say about Trump, he's a black soul in a white man's body. Who else can get charged with crimes, get away, and then find out that they were crimes, and then turn around and then try to fire you from your job, try to throw you in prison? Only black folks know what that's like. It's like, you want to fire me? Okay. Wait, you want to throw me in prison now? Yeah.
For nothing.
So with Trump, it's like he's a black man in a white man's body.
That's funny.
Like that. So, and plus, I mean, let's face it, he's the only president that we thought Obama would have been, and that is somebody who would have pissed off the government. Trump did it. Unfortunately, Obama didn't. He chose government, and nothing wrong with that because you got to pick your sides. But it's just bad that the one person that helped out black folks was Donald Trump.
And here's where the conversation lands differently depending on who's speaking. Because when narrative expectations get broken, people are going to pay attention. Not because they were told to either, but because authenticity, it disrupts scripting every single time. Agreement or disagreement isn't even a core takeaway here. The core takeaway here is America isn't a monolith, all right? Thought isn't centralized. Identity doesn't dictate conclusion. And the loudest narratives online rarely reflect the full spectrum of lived experiences, which brings us full circle. So the next time outrage floods your timelines, I want you to ask yourself one question. Is this principled or is this programming? Because once you start tracking consistency instead of volume, you stop getting managed and start getting informed. So if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write the word consistency. Also, man, that's for y'all too. Y'all been really dope. I don't know what's changing in my platform, but I can say towards the end of last year, I ain't gonna say I've never felt disconnected from y'all, but I don't know what's happening. It feels more jailed. And I'm so grateful for it. I mean, seriously, I got people emailing me. We having conversations and DMs all the time and sharing information. A lot of these videos come from y'all sharing it with me, and I'm truly appreciative of that. I see y'all in the comments too saying y'all cop the Team Think merch. I'm grateful for that. All I got is my shirt and a hoodie and yeah, a couple on the way. I don't even want to sabotage my selling point by telling you why. Anywho, y'all be safe. Go check out somebody else today. You could be saving their life. Peace.